Hey, welcome to the show. Total Financial Solutions, Safer Money Hour. Okay, look, a dream has come true. You won the lotto. Okay, maybe not, but let's play pretend here for the next hour or so as we talk about a lot of people's dreams about winning the lottery. And is it a dream? Or does it turn into a nightmare? My name is Arif Halaby, Total Financial Solutions Safer Money Hour, joined by Logan Halaby. Same last name, because he's my oldest son.
Quite a coincidence there.
Yeah, imagine that. Found each other walking by the street. So when we say, look, winning the lottery, Logan, we've talked about this. Now, you're a college grad, political studies and marketing at a young age. I think you were 19, if I remember right. I was there.
Something like that, yes. And honestly, this topic of the lottery, while the lottery is the big item, it applies to other things as well. We're talking inheritances, life insurance payouts, things like that, where it's still a lot of money all at once.
And you know, it's interesting you say that, because for a lot of people, they dream of this knock on the door that says, you know, great grandpa Johnson's cousin's mother's brother passed away in the middle of Kansas, and you are the sole beneficiary of his will. Right? In fact, we have one client that's happened to, not quite that, you know, the lineage is the same, but it was a distant relative that she had met just a few times, but really loved her and thought she was great, and she did inherit, you know, a very large sum of money. Those kinds of things are few and far between, and if you're banking on that being your financial plan for your retirement or for your future, chances are pretty good it's not going to happen. However, there are people that win the lottery. We have 3 clients that have won the lottery. It's quite a bit of a you know, swing for the fence. You're either all or nothing, right? You're certainly going to lose your money if you play and you don't win. You're guaranteed to lose if you don't win, or you can win big. And people do win, so there are people that win. But more often, people are going to win in gambling. They're going to win in Las Vegas or the Indian casinos or Tahoe, where you go out and you win 5,000, put in 500, 5,000, and it might turn into $500,000. But Logan, what we have seen is now in the near 21 years in this business, I have seen a consistency, and that is that people do not know how to handle the lotto if they have a history of not handling money properly.
Well, it's just like anything else. You have the habits of how you spend money, how you save, how you budget, or honestly, the lack thereof in many cases. And if you act like that with $100, $1,000, whatever it is, you're going to most likely act the same with 1 million, 100 million, or even more.
Yeah, at the risk of doing a little bit of math here, let's say you're 40 years old and you've worked for 20 years. Some of it is part-time, some of it is maybe you took time off if you were raising kids. But let's just say 20 years of your life, and the average that you have made is $10,000 a year. Right? That's $200,000. Now, for some of you, 20 years and $50,000 a year is more like it. That's $1 million has gone through your hands. I know some of it has gone to taxes, some to the electric bill, and the cable bill, and all of that. But how much do you have to show for 20 years of work? Or worse, you're 50 years old and you've been working 25 or 30 years of your life. And you've been making and earning, let's say, an average of $50,000 a year, right? Still do the math. That's $1.5 million has gone through your hands. And you have $800 in your checking account and $3,000 in an old IRA. You have to look and say, the problem is not making more money. For most people, the problem is not managing the money that you are earning currently properly. That's where the risk comes in. That's where the problem comes in.
What happens for most people is you get a raise, you immediately spend it. Or honestly, sometimes more than you actually, 5% raise, you start spending 6% more than what you were making before. So this just continues down the path. When you're making a lot more money, a lot less money, your habits stay pretty consistent.
Well, you heard me mention that we had 3 lotto winners as clients. One of those, in fact, our very first lotto client, actually had come to us after they filed bankruptcy twice. That means they went bankrupt twice, And then they came and said, okay, apparently we don't know what we're doing. And they didn't have that many more years left. I think about 4 years left of the way it works, right? In the lotto winnings, you have a choice. Give me a lump sum or take payments. Apparently at one point you didn't have that option. And I think for them, they took 20 or 25 years worth of payments. All that money is gone now, right? The time has passed. They're into debt over their ears. In fact, at one point, they sold 7 years worth of payments. So they sold it for a fraction of what they could have meant, but they got the cash today. That's why you see those, call now, J.G. Wentworth, or whatever it might be, right? Are you getting in structured annuity payments or a settlement? Give us a call. What you deserve your money now. I said.
It's my money. I need it now. And they've got the singing Vikings or whatever's going on in the
people, break dancing, and you go, I'm just so excited. I want the cash. You take the money, they get the payments minus a huge fee. Usually you end up with about half, maybe a tiny bit more. And they say, no problem. We're patient. We know how to manage our money. We'll get it every day, and we're going to make more and more than we paid you. So I want to give you some of those stories here. There's a gentleman named Jack Whitaker. He was already a millionaire when he had won $315 million in the West Virginia lottery. $315 million. I don't care how much you pay in taxes at the end of that, even if it's half, you end up with a big chunk of dollars. 150 million plus after taxes. The 55-year-old West Virginian construction company president claimed he had gone broke after 4 years. And he lost a daughter and a granddaughter to drug overdoses that he attributes directly to this influx of cash and the lack of understanding how money works, right? Because people think look, if you don't deserve it because you didn't work for it, you don't value it. It's not a bad thing that you're evil or something. It's you just don't have the perspective. I can give you story after story. Jack and his wife both wish that they would have never won and wish they had just torn up the ticket and lived the life that they were comfortable with. This is important because, as Logan said, all of us may not win the lotto, but the chance of you getting a bonus at work, or your tax refund, or a pay raise, or inheriting money, on and on, those are more realistic. That's more likely to happen. And because it does, what can we do to be prepared when those next little dollars, or if you're a lotto or gambler, those big dollars? What can we do to prepare for that? Because consistently we see time and time again, Logan, that people make decisions based on past behavior, right? That's how we do it. We touch the stove, we get burned, we go, ooh, we're never going to do that again. So past behavior dictates future decisions. So part of that is, how are we going to fix that?
Honestly, you just need the best advice. So best information of what your situation is, and honestly, really the best way to move forward and prevent making the same mistakes that you've made in the past.
Look, part of it is the people you hang around with. You've heard me say this time and again. You are a compilation of the people you call friend. Not family unless you hang around with them and they become more of the friend, right? In the sense that you don't get to choose who your mom and dad is. You don't get to choose who your friends are. Yes, you do. Your cousins know. Your friends, yes. If you walk into the room and you say, okay, here are my friends, these are people that you call friends, that means you value their opinion, their decisions that they make. Not everything, not 100%, right? Even if you're married, you don't agree 100% of the time. But when you choose to hang around certain people, that can dictate how it works in your life. And here's why that matters. Because if you take and add up the income of all the people that you spend time with, and you average that out, I'll bet you pretty darn close that's your income. Because friends don't hang out mostly with 100% of the same people. There's overlaps. So if you're a friend that makes much more money than you, chances are he has a friend that makes much money than him. And that's who these people hang out with. And because of that, their income is higher than you. Well, that's the same thing with ethical choices. If you have a friend who is a crook, or somebody who is doesn't mind cheating on their spouse, maybe somebody who lies about their taxes and consistently will, the fast food store gave me an extra $1. That's just the way that goes. They'll learn their lesson and it's my money now. right? You start coloring right and wrong, and you start taking ethical decisions and pushing the limits. And if those people you call friends, chances are you're going to end up in a heap of trouble. Well, that is the same thing with money management. If you have people that don't value dollars around you, oh, I have a friend and she just never seems to have a dollar in her pocket. She's always overdrawn. She's always ducking calls from the creditors. But man, does she have wonderful, beautiful shoes, purse, drives a brand new car. Her hair is always done up $250 at your favorite, whatever beauty salon, right? These folks that can't manage money, they make you feel better when you make a poor choice. So consistently, who you call friend and surround yourself with can help dictate. That's one of the things I want you to focus on. I don't mean be superficial and run around, but look, somebody gave up time to be with you so that they could make a living, so they could make some money. That means they had to give up something pretty darn valuable. Your husband, your wife. They had to go off to work, leave their family. So don't poison that cost by just disregarding the value of money. Because I can tell you this, if you learn how to manage what you're currently paid, you will be worth more money. When you learn how to manage what you are currently paid, you will be more valuable to those around you. When you learn how to manage what you are currently paid, you will make and keep more money. It isn't, some sort of mythical. This is pretty straightforward. I don't know, maybe 2,000 clients, 2,500 clients, something like that we've had come through our door. And Logan, one of the things you've been doing when you looked up and researched some of this is you found some folks that think that they are better off broke consistently when it comes to their earnings, right? Instead of winning the lotto.
Right, and really it's because they won the lottery and then they ended up in a bad situation. It's not because the money was bad in and of itself. It's because of how they lived. You would have think the person we mentioned earlier, the guy who owned a construction company, was a millionaire when he won the lottery. You would have thought he'd be in the perfect position. But in this case, we've got a different person who...
Mr. Shakespeare, right? He was 47 years old.
And he won a $30 million jackpot, which is great. It's a lot of money.
30 million, I'll take it.
Yeah, I'll take some too. And then, well, it won't take how he ended up though. He ended up being shot twice and stabbed before being buried under a concrete slab in his backyard by someone who befriended him after he won the lottery.
So remember how I mentioned your ability to select friends and the judgment that you have with who you call friend, right? Your parents used to do the same thing. Your parents would run around and say, I don't like that boy you're hanging out with, or be very careful who you call friend. If your friends jumped off a bridge, would you, right?
I always liked that one, but normally most of my friends are pretty smart, so probably means the bridge is on fire or something. So I'd have to say I usually would.
Yeah, or so bears chasing them, and that's their best way out. So this particular person used the judgment he had, was shot in the chest twice and killed. Oh my gosh. So I don't like the idea that some of these lottos, some of the states require you to go public on TV holding the big check with your name. There are some states that allow you to remain anonymous. In my opinion, that is the only way to go. And I don't care if it's even, even if it's just $100,000 or something, right? If it's whatever it is. Because what happens is your friends come out of the woodwork. Hey, listen, I know it's tough. I just need to borrow some money, right? You don't think that happens to me, to other people I know regularly. And you say, well, gosh, why? Oh, well, because you are driving a nice car, or you look like you're successful, or you own a company, or so you must have extra cash. And so, you say, no problem, it's a business transaction, unless it's a gift. If you're going to give money to somebody and expect to never see it again, fantastic. But if you're going to loan money to somebody, then it needs to be done with a promissory agreement, with a note, with collateral. Right, no problem. I'm giving you $500. I want the $5,000 watch. We're going to draw it up. I'm going to hold on to it. Why? Not because I'm a pawn shop. No, thank you. But because if I'm going to expect to get my $500 back, I want this to be really darn important to you, because I'm not interested in having another watch or earrings or whatever. The goal is for you to come back and get your stuff and give me my money back and any interest, if any, that you ask. So treat it like a business. For the people that really need the money, they will be fine. They'll agree to it. But if you have that long-lost cousin that comes out of the woodwork because they saw your picture on the Channel 7 News, maybe, in fact, you are hanging out with the wrong people.
And I'm sure a lot of you have had experience when it comes to family inheritance squabbles over the family ring or whatever kind of heirloom there is. And that's usually only under whatever they're talking about is a few hundred or a few $1,000s. How much more is that going to happen at $1 million or more?
Yeah, great point. You see this a lot with celebrities, people that, or athletes, right? There's a famous baseball player here in town who left his wife and his kids and simply did so. And one of the quotes that I heard him say was, "Look, everybody wants something from me. Everybody. I don't talk to my cousins, my aunts, my uncles, my siblings. Everybody just wanted something every time you had some success." And that messes up with your head, doesn't it? Because suddenly you're not important to them as a person or as a friend. You're only important as what you're giving them or paying for lunch or buying them a car or whatever it is the next step. So that's why I'm very concerned about the publicity. Keep it very quiet. Very quiet. You want to donate money, donate it anonymously. You want to buy something, keep it separate. Don't brag to your friends who can't afford it, right? You think they don't feel bad already? That they're driving an older car and you're not? Don't brag to your friends that, we just bought a house on the hill or now taking a trip to Tahiti. If you have friends that are wealthy, you can talk about that stuff all day long because they get it, they understand it. But if you don't, then they feel bad about where they are. I wish it wasn't that way. But being very careful about the way that you claim and talk about money when you go from nothing to something is pretty powerful. When we come back, we're going to get into some of the ways that you can consistently manage. Forget about the lotto, because I don't play the lottery. But you might receive a big tax refund this year. Maybe you put in solar energy. Maybe you paid more in taxes than you should have. Right? You might get $10,000, $15,000. I've seen as much as $20,000 in tax refunds or more. Or what about that bonus from work? Maybe it's been a great year. The end of year's coming. How do you manage those things? What do you do with it? When we come back, we'll get you some tips and tricks on keeping yourself from going broke when that windfall comes your way. Total Financial Solutions Safer Money Hour. I'm Arif Halaby.
And I'm Logan Halaby.
On AM 1220 KHTS.